Good evening and welcome to Mary's Mantle Consecration. We are today on the virtue of, I'm always a day ahead, so I always have to remember where we are. So today we were on the act of trust, and we were praying for Mary Stouter and for Renata and Rusty Harpster. So we'll be offering our rosary tonight for them. And tonight we'll be considering our virtue for tomorrow, which is kindness. We'll begin tonight again with our prayer for blessings on these 46 days. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. O most holy Mother, whom I love tenderly as my own, in your sacred presence, I offer you these days of preparation for consecration in honor of the stars that adorned your heavenly mantle. I appeal to you to intercede these 46 days for all of my needs, for those of my loved ones, and for any special intentions you may want to mention. Please show me the sweet compassion that you showered upon St. Juan Diego, your messenger. Please give me a pure and virtuous heart like your own, so that I might derive the same consolation, the soothing of my pains, and the lifting of my soul that Juan Diego received from the gentle words you gave to him centuries ago. Listen, put it into your heart, my dearest one, that the things that disturb you, the things that afflict you, is nothing. Do not let your countenance, your heart be disturbed. Do not fear any sickness, nor anything that is sharp or hurtful. Am I not here, I, who am your mother? Are you not under my shadow and protection? Am I not the source of your joy? Are you not in the hollow of my mantle, in the crossing of my arms? Do you need anything more? So our virtue that we're going to reflect on tonight is kindness. Jesus Christ, my Lord and brother, make me kind. Pour into my spirit so courteous that pour into me a spirit so courteous that I may give to others the same consideration I would have for you. Place a bolt on the door of my heart so that I may not think of evil of anyone, judge unfavorably, misinterpret events, or make wrong assumptions. Quiet my mind should I begin to invade the sacred sanctuary of intentions. When the temptation to speak ill of a brother or a sister rises into my throat, seal my lips with silence so that I may never spill gossip or break promises. May I keep confidences until death. May my presence heal, my tongue encourage, and my actions soothe the aches of human hearts. May I leave behind me a trail of blessings wherever you would have me go. So I love the reflections that Christina put into this particular meditation on kindness. And I think that all of us know how building it is when someone thinks well of us, and how destructive it is when someone does not. And you know, if we look at the opposite, when we know people think that we're not trustworthy, or that we would be guilty of doing something that is not praiseworthy, sometimes we almost want to go ahead and fulfill all their prophecies and do just that, since they think so poorly of us. But kindness in thought can do just the opposite too, okay, of what the wrong can do. And when a person hears that another only thinks that they would never be able to do anything like that, because that would be unkind and that would not be something you would ever want to give to that person or believe that they could be guilty of, even if they were, it would make them realize that people believe in them. And when a person's believed in, it's amazing how far they can actually change. I remember really being blessed with this experience when I was teaching some 7th graders. And I happened to have a teacher's aide that year in CCD. And so I was teaching them, and they were a good class as far as answering questions and listening and participating. And I told them, I think it'd be great to put this into action. And so we were going to do a fundraiser to give to the poor. And they all participated by making different baked goods and making signs. And I found out later that the ones who were the most active, and truly they were being wonderful, were actually some of the worst kids in the public school. They were the ones who were the troublemakers, and yet they would do everything because, fortunately, I didn't know anything that about them, and they loved being believed in and being entrusted with responsibilities. So often we rise up when someone thinks well of us. Kindness also, is in our way of treating another, even when they may not necessarily be likable. Saint Therese of the Child Jesus is one of the most beautiful examples about this. When she was a young sister, there was in her convent a sister who was very elderly, and she had problems walking, and so she liked to leave the chapel early to get to the refectory before everyone else would be on the same hallway, so that she wouldn't feel pushed or a hindrance. And so Saint Therese volunteered to take care of this sister. And she volunteered because so many sisters, no matter what they did, were always complained about and never did a good enough job. And so when Saint Therese started taking care of this sister, she ended up getting the same ranking of either being too fast when she walked, or too slow when she walked, or not holding on to the sister tight enough. And no matter what St. Therese did, the sister was always finding something at fault, and, oh, I knew that you were too young, you should not be taking care of me. And she said that then when she would get her all the way, and she would only give her a nice smile, and then just do whatever she said. If she needed to pick up her speed, she needed to slow down, she needed to give a firmness, and she needed to take it back, she would completely comply with the sister. And when she would get to the table where they were eating in the refectory, the sister would be very particular about where a particular plate or glass or napkin had to be and how to be seated. Therese, though, in her goodness, kept an eye on the sister, and she realized her hands were so crippled with arthritis, and she would see her at the meal struggling with her food, especially if it needed to be cut. And so Saint Therese went the farther mile, even though it was exhausting. And the moment that you got to the refectory, you'd be like, finished, okay? But instead, she took notice and she began to move the sister's sleeves because they were very long, and she would roll them up for her. She would get her fork and her knife and cut up her food so that she would not have to struggle with it. And then when she would try always to give her the warmest smile. And she said one time when she was in the midst of doing this, she was, their convent was near the town, they were within the town, and she could hear the music of someone at their home. They had a small little band in their house. They were playing music, and she knew that there was all kind of people dressed up and dancing and beautiful food and just wonderful entertainment. And then she was looking at the sister who was like, hurry up, you're going so slow. And she realized that this was much more beautiful than anything that could be just passing in this world, because she was able to see Christ and being allowed to serve him. And this is really opening the eyes of our faith, and it does take a lot of energy. Saint Therese, again, did this later on in her life with a sister who came into the community who had the opposite upbringing of her. And she didn't have any of the fine tunes of courtesy. And she had absolutely opposite political views. The things that Saint Therese thought were beautiful were the very things that this sister thought were ugly. Although this sister didn't know it, because Saint Therese decided that she would overcome herself. And she thought, how crazy to base our behavior towards another just because of how we feel. Feelings are not important. Love is in the will. And so she chose actually to spend time with this sister. She would do little favors for her. She would give her her warmest smiles. She would say a prayer for her every time she saw her and offer up all her good actions to God. Because she said, that's what I would do for a friend. And she said if she followed her natural inclination, she would walk a mile out of her way just to avoid meeting this sister. But she never let this sister know that. And it allowed this sister to even one day ask her, Saint Therese, what is it that you find so wonderful about me? And she just simply said that she found Christ in her, which was a very true answer. But she had no idea of how much it was an act of faith. And so this is where kindness can be really, really drawn out of each one of us. It can be a true challenge. But it is a willingness to go past our natural inclination. There was a teacher who mentioned that she was, at Christmas time, all these children brought in different presents. And she had one student in a classroom who just continually, no matter whatever subject it was, they just never excelled. They almost seemed to purposely get everything wrong. And she almost enjoyed putting an X on their paper. And she said at Christmas, when she opened the gifts, and she opened this child's gift, it was a broken necklace. But she saw how happy the child was, and she didn't want to be rude because she knew she was supposed to be the adult in the situation. So she actually put the necklace on and made a big to-do about it, only to learn at this point that this child's mother had died the year before. And this was the only thing that he had left of his mom's. And he said, you look beautiful in that. You almost look as beautiful as my mom. From that moment forward, that teacher was completely changed. And she was able to help that student to completely rise above all of his abilities, and later on he even became a doctor. But it was because she was willing to go past her inclination and to act kindly. And so often we can be surprised by that. I know for myself, just that act of kindness helped me to hit my first ball in baseball. I'm terrible at sports. I remain terrible at sports. But when I was in grade school, my inability made me the last one chosen for any team. And as soon as I got up to bat, you'd always hear everyone just sort of sigh. I probably would have done the same if I had seen me going up there too. However, when I got to high school, ninth grade, I still remember getting to the bat, and I just couldn't wait for me to be able to put the bat down. But instead, they all encouraged me. They're like, oh, don't worry. Come on, you can do it. Try again. Keep an eye on the ball. And no one put me down. And I was actually, because of their encouragement, able to hit my first ball. And I think about that. And kindness is those kind of little things that we do that end up bringing so much light and strength into a person's life. They don't have to be anything big. We look again at Our Lady as being our model, immediately going to see her cousin Elizabeth and to assist her. And then at the wedding feast, how did Mary know they were out of wine? We know then that she was helping to serve. And it's a beautiful, again, demonstration of kindness. It goes outside of ourselves. So thinking well of others and acting kindly towards others and not having to go with your inclination. This is not insincere. Feelings are wonderful when they are helpful. But just because I feel like getting to the store without stopping, I can't run the red lights. Okay, and I'm not being insincere by stopping. And so in the same sense, when we act kindly towards a person that we don't necessarily feel the inclination, this is not insincerity. This is genuine love.